Okay, I'm going to give you guys my 36-week update, and I'm probably going to do it in two parts. And the first part, I'm going to tell you guys kind of what's going on with me and with the baby and with doctor's appointments right now. So Friday, I went to the hospital, and they hooked me up to one of those monitors, and we were there probably about 2 hours or so, me and Sam were, that I had to be hooked up. While we were there, I had contractions, but they were so irregular that I did get to go home Friday. And they just kind of told me, if you bleed or your water breaks or you start having contractions and they're actually regular, then come back in. If not, keep your appointment for your doctor on Monday and go from there. So Friday, got to go home, got the A-OK, everything looks alright. And then Sunday, I started bleeding. And it wasn't a whole lot, it was just a little bit, and it was like really bright red blood. And I did call the hospital and talk to one of their nurses that was on staff right then and stuff to see what I should do, seeing as the doctor's office was closed. And she advised me to just stay home, and if it soaked through my underwear or if I put it on a pad and it soaked the pad within an hour, then it was too much blood and I needed to come into the hospital. So the bleeding quit Sunday, and that wound up being okay. They think that was possibly from me and Sam having sex and him hitting my cervix, and where it's like really sensitive and stuff. The doctor just thinks that that's what made me bleed. Other than that, I had a doctor's appointment Monday. And so I went Monday, and they did do an ultrasound, and the only thing that they could check was her fluid levels. They weren't able to assess her growth. They told me, that they have to wait at least 2 weeks to do a growth ultrasound, and I just had one done a week ago. So, they couldn't do that. I do have, like, a couple pictures that they took. Oop. And, as always, I hold them to where the light glares off them. They're just, like, profile, like, of her face. As for her fluid levels, her fluid is still low. It's not any lower than it was, but it's not any better either. So they're still concerned about that. And they didn't really tell me to be doing anything about it. The tech, I did ask her what she thought, and the tech had suggested that I increase my fluid intake. So once again, I'm drinking a ton of water, and it is doing nothing for me whatsoever. It's not helping the swelling, anything like that. I just feel it swishing around in my belly all the time because I drink so much water now. But the doctor did send me over to the hospital, and this wound up, the doctor's appointment in the hospital Monday wound up being like a 4-hour, I guess, adventure, you could call it. And so during this time at the hospital, they're looking for what they call ASALs, and the nurse explained it to me as in 10-minute intervals they want to see periods of movement and where, like, her heart rate increases, and they were not seeing it. Her heart rate was staying between 130, 140, which is really low. I've never seen it that low. It was really strange, and I wasn't having any contractions at all, and just wasn't getting anywhere. I had a lot of swelling, and the nurses had commented on that and said it was really bad in my legs and my ankles and my feet, and they were not happy about that. And so eventually the nurses started stuffing me with Gatorade and popsicles and a bunch of other sugary stuff like that, trying to give her a sugar rush to make her move. Oh, they had me roll over in the bed and change positions often, and they brought in this little wand thing, and it sends like a pulse or an electric shock or whatever you want to say through your stomach to the baby, and it doesn't hurt. It tickles. It kind of feels maybe like static electricity does, I guess, off of clothing. You could compare it to that. And they tried that and couldn't get her to move, and they told me, that if they can't get her to move and get some better markings on their little machine thingy, that I wasn't going to get to go home. So I laid there in that bed forever, it seemed like, until finally she started being more active, and they were seeing the kind of increases in the kinds of lines and stuff that they wanted to see on the charts. So I got to go home, and I go back to the doctor on Monday, so that'll be the, let me see here, that is the 18th, I think. Where's my, yep, 18th, and it's at 1:30, and Monday they're going to do an ultrasound, and they'll look at her fluid again, measure it, see if it's got any better. They'll look at her weight, they can assess that and see how that's looking, see if it's picked back up or what. And they'll send me over to the hospital again to hook me up to the monitor and watch her for a little while. And if everything looks good, I'll get to go home again. So I really don't have any good news about it, but I don't have any bad news. Things are just kind of like up in the air still, and we don't know what's gonna happen, or like if she's gonna wind up having to be taken early or what. But even if they wind up doing that, they told me that it's really not going to matter. I'm sorry, I'm moving around so much, I'm so uncomfortable. It's really not going to matter, because I'm at a point where it would not hurt to deliver her right now. So that's the good news. And I'll do symptoms for this week and belly shots and just other tidbits in a part 2